Hi folks, welcome to Radio FM88, broadcasting from Springwood, Queensland, Australia. And Julie and I decided that we'd have a refresher of some of the most amazing people that have actually come on our show since the birth of this particular show, Dreaming the New Dream, October 2019 is when we sat down and formulated a concept of bringing together people from all different walks of life who have got a different form of understanding and consciousness, and hence this name, Dreaming the New Dream. So welcome, Julia.
Welcome. Hello, Jeff. Hello, everyone who's tuning in to us. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And yes, we are having a review, a behind the scenes today. And we've got a couple of presentations, and we thought we'd take you behind the scenes because not all of you know us in person. We love the fact that we have people tuning in from all around the world to our show, and we thought we'd go behind the scenes. So I think Jeff's taking care of the technical things, but the sound and all that. But yeah, I probably am stalling now.
Right. Okay. So here's the comment section. Okay.
Oh, there's Helen. Good.
Okay. So let's start a behind the scenes look with some amazing people.
Both Jeff and I are doing this pro bono, and we both have our own professions and businesses as well, and our own unique pathways that led us to come together and join forces to showcase a lot of amazing people who are dreaming the new dream. We did start off, as Jeff said, with here we go, behind the scenes with Jeff and Julia. I think that's just the initial. Oh, yep, that's the presentation. Okay, so this is the backstory. You get to find out more about, look, there's Jeff. For those who ladies, I did ask for a picture of him showing his muscles. You can see a good set of shoulders there. And did you just win a prize? You've got a book and a hoodie there or something?
A trophy.
It's a trophy. What did you win the trophy for?
Most improved member.
Most improved member. I guess you just come from New Zealand, so you had a bit of catching up to do with the Australians.
I've been in South Africa for a few years. I just got caught up with the Australian male version of living life. You know, so it was about saving lives at night, not on the beach. Of course, we used to be so fit and agile. We used to go out at night, and it was like party central. So I mean.
Barbara and Thomas all both saying you can't hear anything. Is it better now? The sound, is that better? Okay. So let us know if you can or can't hear us. So this is Jeffreyshaw at 21 at the Gold Coast, receiving his trophy for the most improved member. And by then you'd found your way across the Great Divide between New Zealand and Australia. And you were you working or studying here?
Working.
What were you doing? What kind of work were you doing?
Good sound, thank you.
All good with the sound. Good.
Okay, sorry. Now my background was in the farming industry. So I was what they call a management cadet. So I actually learned all about from the farm gate to exporting the processed meat, whether it was lamb or beef, or basically those two commodities really. So exported around the world. So being a stock buyer, worked in the meatworks, worked in the head office. So really it's like an apprenticeship. Just like my mates are motor mechanics, I got one in management. So I learned all about computer systems and wholesale sales, purchasing with computer systems, stock and shares. Wages, purchasing, I learned a lot. Meatworks was completely different because we worked in the beef floor and the mutton floor. So you're seeing the cattle come in and then go through the finished product. So here in Australia, just walk straight into a job because of that knowledge. So in the weekends, surf club lifestyle.
So did you how many people did you rescue?
I don't believe any one of our guys in the surf club in the 7 years I was there ever rescued anyone.
Oh, I'm not going to donate anymore. What was that? Because what, people didn't need rescuing, or like you pulled them out of the water when they were like not, So yeah, all right. You might have to clarify that.
No, the issue was anyone who's familiar with the Gold Coast, there's like 26 different surf clubs along the coast. So those that are popular are the ones that got public car parking out the front, whereas Bulinga Surf Club, people say Bulinga, where's Bulinga? If you said Coolangatta Airport, that's Bulinga. Yeah, so from Tugun, which is the northern end of the runway, to the southern end, which would be Kura, in between would be Bulinga and North Kura. So great location. And of course, no public parking, which meant people didn't come down to our beach. And people who did come down to our beach were the people who had the units that came onto the beach itself. So we all knew everybody, and they always come to our surf club for barbecues and drinks and stuff. So we got on really well. It's a big family, yeah.
Oh, that's fun. And did you have any sharks being part of the family as well?
Sharks.
Just for our overseas listeners, because we all associate Australia with sharks. Did you have any encounters with sharks?
Occasionally. I mean, we're very lucky because at Coolangatta Airport, the helicopters and light planes would come up. If there was an issue there, they would go and circle. This is gold standard, circle around, bring your attention to it. But, there's more dolphins than sharks. So the surf club in those days had moved away from the rod and reel, the old system. You put the rope and the thing on there, and you started swimming out and get reeled back in. So whilst we had that equipment, things moved on. You had surfboards, surf rescue boards, that is. You had the torpedo boys. You had the rubber duckies. That was my forte, rubber duckies. And
what did you do with the rubber duck?
They were a Zodiac.
Right.
So, okay. It's just under 11 foot and powered with a 25 horse outboard motor on it. It's got a cage on the back to protect anybody coming in from the rear of the boat, so you wouldn't get sliced up by the propeller. Excellent way of jumping over the waves, diving over the waves, riding the waves. We had surf boats, all that type of stuff. I mean, haven't been in the Sea Scouts or knew what it's like to row boats. So it's quite an eventful proposition to get on them surf boats and ride the wave. And yeah. But anyway, it's great lifestyle, and you can see from the photos there a lot of camaraderie there, and the boys still kick on together. We have barefoot bowls twice a year. Some boys play golf. We just lost one of our fellas, Peter Fanning. He's the first of the boys to pass away. So we had a great turn-up back in October, an outdoor memorial. And then this coming Saturday, we've got something special. All the boys are lining up, and they're going to spread Pete's ashes out there off the surf club. So it's a great family, you know. Yeah, fantastic. So that's me. Surf clubs. It's all about rescue work. As I said, we rescued more people that night.
Okay. Should we move on to the next slide? All right. So that's me.
I gather that.
For those who are listening, it's actually you were going to describe it, but
well, it's in England, so that type of architecture would probably be more synonymous with London, I would have thought, with all the different statues and that they've got to remember war heroes and stuff like that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of colonial past as well. So yes, that was me when I was roughly in my early 20s. I was studying in London. I was studying Chinese and economics and having a great time. And we'll move on because there's a third person, a mystery person who's involved in behind the scenes today, because without this person, we
There we go.
Okay, so this is growing up, the slide, and this is me and my twin sister, and I really don't know which one's me, but it was one of our favorite activities. Is growing up in Hong Kong, we had friends who would have a yacht or a junk, and we would climb all the way up to the second floor, and we would jump down into the water, and that's just a shot from that. And my twin sister and me, and Helen Reese is saying no sound, but I'm sure we'll be able to pick that up again. So there you go. So that's my twin sister and me as a baby. We were born in Berlin and then grew up in Hong Kong. And that was one of our favorite weekend activities when my parents' friends would invite us out on a yacht. We'd go and sail. Hong Kong's got like 180 islands or something. So you'd sail out for the day and moor somewhere and jump in and splash around. Thank you, Helen, for letting us know. Oh, Barbara says, yep, okay, I think we're back. All right. So we'll just go on to the next slide. Sort of, yeah. All right. So I grew up with in the 80s. That's Cyndi Lauper, Madonna. I think that was actually, that was in that was actually the year that I was in China studying there. And I was a fairly skeptic teenager. I was really into paranormal stuff. and had great fun adventuring in China. Second year I was in China. And then the picture on the left with the Tudor home is actually, if you know Song Qingling, the three sisters, the Song sisters.
No.
So Chiang Kai-shek, who was the last general, he married one of the Song Qingling, one of the Song sisters. And the other two, one of them married Sun Yat-sen, who was into land reform and joined with the communists later. And the third one was married to the banker. And that was outside of Song Qingling's old home in Beijing. And that is me becoming a parent, a mother with my first baby girl there. So that was kind of my transition from childhood to adulthood. Oh, and then this is my working life. In between, I was actually
So you're trying to be Doctor Who in that red telephone box, aren't you?
Yes, in Dunedin. So this is where I did touch down in New Zealand, but by then you weren't in New Zealand, so I went there with my partner Tom Davison, and he took that picture, and we're doing the Doctor Who impression.
Right. Next one.
And back to Jeff. So we've talked about those pictures. That's at the Surf Life Club. And then there's a very big family here.
Surf Club?
Oh, it's the Surf Club.
Right. So I'm a travels who used to right. So the photo on the right is Buckingham Palace. So I'm really fluked it. Happened to be in London when that Queen opened up Buckingham Palace for 2 weeks. So I happened to be Johnny on the spot. Came up out of the subway at Victoria Street Station and hello, there you go. So I joined the masses and spent 3 or 4 hours just going through Buckingham Palace. It was awesome experience. And the photo on the left relates to the fact that I used to travel every year to England and used to be the MC, the DJ, the roadie for the healing weekend. So that festivity took place in the second weekend in July, and it was a pilgrimage. So many people used to come down and camp. 4,000 or 5,000 people would come along. So on a farm, and so everybody would pitch a tent and bring the caravans, their campers and so forth. So
between you doing the surfing and working in the meat processing industry to this picture, sort of what was your path, or how did you end up in those circles? What led you that way?
That's too big a story there. We could be here for hours. No. Generally speaking, it was just, it's a bit like Saul walking on the road to Damascus and having his buddy, a flame coming through the tree and God talking to you. But mine was not like that. But generally, I had a couple of people manifest on my deck. Manifest, just like beam me up, Scotty.
Like drop-ins.
Hey?
Like appearances, visions.
No, physically.
Physically, people manifested on your deck.
And so it was the first year that Wayne Goss opened up and allowed people to have daylight saving as a trial.
Mm-hmm.
It was 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and I was just sitting there having a cup of tea, Earl Grey, and I think we had the newspaper, the Telegraph at the time. Anyway, so I just happened to look up, and all of a sudden to my left, which is coming from the west, was 2 pinpoints of light, and they just came in and manifested. Amazing. Yeah, the first guy had these white robes, and he had a yellow sash. He had blonde hair actually, and he had an open book, and he had fair hair. The other guy next to him, which is as I look on the right, had black hair, had a check shirt, corduroy trousers. And I remember laughing at the time. I said, "Oh, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you know." Quite surprised, really. But to my left, from the guy with the blonde hair and the white robes, silver light came in, and it started manifesting, and it took shape and took form, and then all of a sudden it was me. So I was actually in 2 places at once.
Wow, that's pretty mind-bending.
Having a cup of tea, and then next thing these 2 fellows turned up, and then all of a sudden the third turned up, and it was me. So how do you explain that?
Vision last time, but the fact that they actually manifest in front of you, that's pretty amazing. Cool. So it's like a blending of the timelines or the matrix, sort of you dropping off, your higher self dropping in on your sort of in the video game self. How would you explain it? How do you explain it?
I remember coming home from the Breakfast Creek Hotel from a Friday night with all the shipping guys.
Mm.
And in those days you could drive home with a few drinks under your belt. And I managed to get home, and I was so crook. I brought up all the night's beverages up on the rose garden before I went inside. I was so crook. And I went inside the bedroom and I turned on the portable TV, and I saw the Space Shuttle Challenger there. And I said, "Oh, the thing's going to blow up." So I went off and had a shower, come back, and I watched it blow up. And then, so I was thought to myself, "God, there must be more to life than this." And next second, I fell asleep. And silly me, stupid me, forgot to turn off the clock radio, you know. So Saturday morning came, and it was come on at just around before 6 o'clock.
Right.
I mean, your head's bloody spinning around, you know. And but I could remember the song. It was from Mental as Anything, and the words were, "The nips are getting bigger and the brain cells are dying." So that was it. I gave away alcohol and coffee. So that's how that happened. And then shortly afterwards, during the night, a couple of weeks later, I think it was, the time, I just got to get the time right. It'd been Sunday morning, Sunday morning, yeah. A Sunday night, Monday morning, yeah. And I heard this voice, and I've never heard the voice before or since, and it actually resonated through every atom of my being. It was quite bloody awesome, really. It was a really deep, now that I know what I know, it's a real deep, profundo voice, you know. And the voice said, "What dost thou ask of me?"
What does thou ask of me? Did you have anything to ask? I mean, like, that's the genie. It's sort of like, what does thou ask?
Oh, actually, I got out of bed, would you believe, and
checked where the voice might be coming from.
No, I just I was in a surreal space, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I went out to the kitchen and pulled out a foolscap pad of paper, and I wrote down 178 wishes.
Wow, that's a lot.
And I just read it now. Boom, 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 boom. You would be surprised. It was just came straight out. So,
okay. So Nellie's saying she can't hear anything.
Yeah. I think we've got bloody NBN. I mean, it's been going on a couple of weeks and it's intermittent.
Yeah.
And NBN and Optus have been working on it, and they're actually sending in a tech tomorrow morning. So,
well, maybe we'll just switch the slideshow off. Maybe that's what's. We'll just go to the next one too. I just want to get Helen Reese in. Can you hear us now, dear Nellie and Barbara, or Dennis and Helen? Maybe it's on mute. But...
yeah, so that's where we're at, mate.
That's pretty amazing story. So on the presentation, we did have the next, that I can hear myself now, but we did have the next page being a picture of Helen Reese. Oh yeah, Helen can hear us. Okay, so let's just do Helen Reese and then we'll sort of switch off the slideshow, I think. Possible. So good, Dennis can hear us too. So the mystery person who connected us so that we could come together.
The top right-hand corner is Stonehenge, and the bottom left is Glastonbury Abbey, which is the final resting place for Queen Genevieve and King Arthur. So,
oh, okay, I didn't know that. Right.
Part of their folklore. Yeah.
So this is the beautiful Helen Reese when she was young and fresh and probably didn't know what she wanted to do in life either. I think that was meant to be the common denominator, Helen. And I met Helen Reese after making contact with a spiritual church in Brisbane. And I'd never heard of a spiritual church before. But I walked into this church because somebody told me to go. I think Karen Langford had suggested that I go and join a spiritual development group. And she also told me they had a great library with teachings by White Cloud. I was always been interested in Native American Indian. Anyway, I go in and there's I meet the people there. And down in the basement, you go down for tea. There's a picture and a plaque that has been actually... that commemorates a visit by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle to the Brisbane Spiritual Church at the time that he was alive. And for me, it was just so amazing because I grew up reading Sherlock Holmes. And, just to think that the author of the Sherlock Holmes books had been to Brisbane to this little church, which is right next to a fire station. It was just really blew my mind. So, and I'd never heard about the spiritual church, but Jeff and Helen is the one that connected you with me at a spiritual church event. How did you meet Helen?
A meditation group at Malcolm.
There you go. Helen's clarifying that he laid the founding stone. Thank you. A meditation church. Yeah. All right. So just finishing off our back scene. So Helen introduced Jeff to me, and Jeff invited me onto his radio station. And that was actually the next thing is you've set up Radio FM88. Why did you do it and when did you do it? And we can just close the slide so that the sound is hopefully a bit better.
How do I set up a radio station?
Why and how?
It just felt like a good idea at the time. I picked up a book from Nissa, and I happened to be sitting back on a Sunday at about 12 o'clock. It was a beautiful winter's day, and I thought I'd read this book, and it's called On the Breath of Gods. It's a really interesting story from Africa. Anyway, so I decided I'd sit in the sun, read it, but then I thought I'd like to listen to some music. So I went down the radio dial and I came across a radio station called 4NBS Classical Music, 103.7. And during the course of the afternoon, there was a guy called Howard Ainsworth, ex-ABC bloke, and he was putting out this little ad to say that they'd moved premises from Kelvin Grove to Cooperoo, and they were looking for a receptionist. And by 4 o'clock, I thought, I might have a crack at that. So I rang him up, and he answered the phone, and I said, I wouldn't have a go at this receptionist, but I don't come with a skirt. Would that be okay? He just cracked up laughing. He said, yeah, we take anybody. So I went in and I met them all. They had 3 paid people, 160 volunteers. It was the most professional voluntary organisation I've ever worked at. And so I did Sunday morning, 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and there was the legend in classical music was a guy called Graham Webster. And so he ran the show between 9 o'clock and 12. And people would ring in. The other amazing thing was if there was going to go something wrong with a radio station, it was always Sunday morning. And so I got to know the technical guys, and I got to know the general manager. I got to know everybody. So, and I learned how to set up a radio station. And of course, along came the Labor Party, and they decided that the central left and the left didn't like the way that the right part of the Labor Party were ingrained with Fairfax, Packer, and Murdoch. So they wanted a diversity of content on the airwaves. So they opened up frequencies, 87.6, 87.8, and 88.0. So I thought, why not? So I put the application in, and I got granted a license, and started off really humble. We're lucky that the local paper promoted us on the Wednesday. Thursday night, someone broke into the premises which housed all the servers and all that stuff, and transmission links for the black and white taxis and yellow taxis. And our gear was the only one that got knocked off. So our stuff got knocked off.
Your stuff.
So on the Friday, there was an ad, a big story in the paper, and other people then turned up to give us a hand to get it started. So at the time, I was a bit disappointed, but at the end of the day, it became a blessing, In the meantime, we'd gone and set up a community centre at Salisbury. And so the concept there has been the program, of course, as coordinator at the community centre, I sort of met so many people who got all these different teaching abilities and techniques. And so that was really good. So I figured that the radio station could be an extension to the community centre by bringing on different content and revealing to people that there's other people out there who've got other ways of doing things. I mean, I was really amazed by a lady called there was another group that came that did UFO groups, and there was another Edgar Casey. Now, he was a really interesting guy, Edgar Casey. So such a wide range of content, coming through from the centre. So I thought we could actually do that on the radio. So we did that. Unfortunately, the local community radio station took it upon themselves to complain.
Why was that?
Well, it just galvanised and brought people together, and I suppose you need to have a benevolent dictator, don't you? I think when you've got a benevolent dictator and you don't have a committee, you can get things done quickly and on the job, which is what happened. So I just brought all my business skills to set up from a community background. And so anyway, that caused a problem, but then at the same token, there's a silver lining there. A fellow rang me up and said, I think we can overcome that problem. I can give you a software program. You can put it onto a 486 computer, and it'll run the radio station for you. I said, okay. So that was better than what 4MBS used to do, and that was just put on a stack of 5 CDs or 6 CDs on a stacker, and they would play the classical music, whole CDs, from end of midnight to next show in the morning.
Mm.
So CDs were created for 72 minutes because of the is a classical piece of music. Mendelssohn's Messiah, it goes for 72 minutes. That's the longest piece of music.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why CDs are 72 minutes.
I always wondered because there was often extra space on CDs, but it sounds like you really managed to turn adversity into, just sort of flip it so that even if there was change as a result of adversity, it would just take you to a next level.
Oh, yeah, at the end of the day, I met some really good people at the community radio station. In the early days, the first thing I did was actually knocked on their door and said, "Do you want to do a joint venture? Have a studio there that could be dedicated to, promoting, Logan City, northern parts of Gold Coast and southern parts of Brisbane." And so the guy Wilson at the time and the station manager Lee, this guy Wilson, he was so adamant, "No, mate, we control everything. You might have the license, but we'll try content and the advertising, basically, get shafted, isn't it?" So I said, "Oh, don't worry about it then." So that's when I went on. So, I mean, that's been conciliatory on my part because my business is built on working with people. And with my travels overseas, I've traveled around the world now 12 times, 14 times around the world. I've done a fair bit of traveling. So, but I always meet up with different people in international trade, commerce, and set up agency networks. So it's all done by handshakes and word of mouth. And, there's no real set concrete contracts with people. It's just you're open and transparent. And when you say you're going to do something, you follow through, And if there is an issue, that you always bring it to their attention that, listen, we have a problem. Here in Australia, the problem's surfaced since October last year. The shipping industry is in dire straits. It's the worst I've ever seen. So guys like Dan Andrews in Victoria, shut down Victoria, but he really shut down the whole shipping industry around Australia, caused so much grief, so much problems. So, 9,000 containers would come in from China to Australia, but they're only going back with 3,000 because those businesses that were open for essential services, only they could be open. And so all these warehouses couldn't take delivery of their containers. So it's been a shocker, been an absolute shocker. So obviously, from all my commentaries that I get from around the world, I certainly don't buy into this current scenario that's been portrayed by mainstream media and government stuff. Just doesn't fit right. Doesn't sit right. So,
what, in terms of things recovering or?
Yeah. So I don't feel it's worthwhile giving it any energy, so just don't give it energy. It'll just run out of steam. And if more like-minded people come together, talk to each other, give people hugs, and it's about building your immune system, keep your immune system up. You're not delving into fear. It's very easy to promote fear,
Yeah, and I guess that's why, we brought the Dreaming the New Dream together, really, wasn't it? Because between you and me, we've met so many remarkable people who have not bought into the fear and who have not fitted in intentionally and have decided to, follow their own path. And I'm still just delighted when I think back that the first episode we had Ken Cohen on, who is this amazing Qigong scholar and practitioner. And he was the one, just a bit of backstory. When I grew up in Hong Kong, but when I was 17, my parents took me on a trip to China and to Shanghai itself. And we walked past the People's Park and there was a group of people who were basically doing the Tai Chi, and I'd never really kind of registered or seen it as an adult, and I just could feel the energy. And I went back to London and learned a bit more when I studied in China. But being a Catholic girl, I couldn't really quite work out what was happening. Or sort of it didn't, nobody really taught me about what was happening. So I did some courses, and Ken Cohen's book on Qigong was the first one that I read, and I liken it to Deepak Chopra's book. It just explains everything beautifully. And we had him on for the first show, and after that we began to bring in other people who are specializing in developing their extra sensory perception and projection skills. So the avatars, the airbenders, the psychics, the healers, the dowsers, as well as the people who have just given themselves to their art, be it painting or drawing or dancing or singing. And then also we've been able to bring on, between the two of us, quite a few people who are working at what I'd call the eco-warriors, being sustainable or looking for ways to recycle or to live plastic-free, just as a source of inspiration. So it's just actually been a really great ride so far. The universe is, at the start we were bringing in people that we knew, and then people have just been led to us, and we've got an exciting lineup. And I'm just waiting for Jeff to figure out, is everything all right? Actually, audience, if you're listening, give us some feedback.
That's right. Okay, so I put a list there of all the different guests. And, yeah. So I have to say I enjoyed Ken Cohen, particularly with his Qigong, and then working with orca whales. I thought that was really interesting. It took a while to get to that point. I like Michael Shane and the fact that he was a physical medium. He used to apport objects and then physically seeing them in Brisbane here. That was really great. The guy who blindsided me and I really took back and I really put him in a new light, and such a humble man, was Greg Bushell, the animal healer whisperer down here on the Gold Coast at Burleigh. Greg slipped under my radar and he popped up and I was thinking, yeah, mate, you got the goods. Patrick Gamble, I mean, we just got inundated by people to say, can you keep the show going? And we went for 2 hours, something minutes, and his artwork is awesome for a guy who's a builder, and he just picked up a paintbrush and he started painting, and then finds that he gets overshadowed by a guy called John. I mean, his artwork is just so surreal, isn't it? So Mary Rodwell, there's nothing you could say about Mary Rodwell that hasn't been said in terms of talking to souls that are coming, young children, and how they've just got so much knowledge. They're just so advanced, and her amazing oratory skills. She really knew her subject really well. Timothy Brown, I mean, that was a guy who was virtually our, what's the movie? Billy Elliot, the young guy who stepped out and became a ballet dancer for the Queensland Ballet. What an awesome, that was, he too slipped under the radar and explained, the role that a dancer has to do and keep their weight and figure in the athletics. And I mean, they're more fit than a footballer. I was quite surprised. It was just amazing, their actual strength. Bam Bang Pramama. Now, that guy, that's a legend. I mean, we should get him back and probably get better connectivity. But for a guy who organised 1 million people in Jakarta to sit down and do a meditation there and bring in peace and harmony and transform the whole of Indonesia when they had the tiger economies were collapsing under Joe Soros doing his money exchange things with currencies, and President Suharto could have gone a completely different way and sent the army in. But what took place there was just amazing, and it just shows you Bam Bang Pramana is virtually like a Gandhi. I tell you, it was a pretty interesting guy. Thomas
Juliachai.
That's the man. Acoustic sound waterbed. It's got another name for it. Cymatics, yeah, but everyday people wouldn't know what that means. But I can tell you, when you get on that king-size single waterbed and you can feel the music wavelengths, the frequencies coming underneath the water in the waterbed, and it resonates with your body. Your body's made up of 80% water. I put my hand up and say that was an awesome experience for anyone who wants to do it. Joy Foley, for someone who's decided to get out and live the life of permaculture, eco-sustainability. Fair play to her. That's awesome experience for her. My mate Cameron Monley, from a guy who's in the riot squad in New South Wales, to become a leader of men in terms of running men's groups. Huge, big transformation in that guy. If he can do it, then any other male can do it.
And I'll give it a bit of backstory on that one. So we had Cameron Monley and Erman Machicha come in as sort of the new ones practicing the divine masculine. And that was preempted because we had Angel Whisperer. We had an Angel Whisperer, Caroline. And she said, it's the start of the age of the divine feminine. And Jeff said, what about the men? So we brought in Cameron and Ermon. So yeah, go on, Jeff. I just wanted to give that backstory to why we brought them in. And yeah, I was amazed because I'd met Cameron when he was at Infinite Connections, wearing all the white flowing robes and being very gentle and heart-based. So to find out that he used to chase the motorbikers around Sydney as part of the riot squad was really quite a contrast. But if he can do it, we can do it.
Yeah. I want to come back to Carol Halstead. That's the lady who was at a private school up at Rockhampton. And she could see angels, and she went back to that school and put it to the attention to the nuns. And
that was Caroline Milne.
Caroline Milne. My apologies there, but that story with Caroline Milne, that was just bloody heartbreaking to hear how she was treated. It was just shocker. Fair play to her.
But it also shows how far we've come. Sort of like things have improved that hopefully wouldn't be happening today. That a kid would be, punished in solitary confinement and ostracized for 3 months just because she'd said that she'd had an angel visit her that night.
Oh, no, it's just shocking. I mean, that's what they profess to be spiritual, so-called, with the name religion on it. But yeah. Oh no, they promote bloody the tooth fairy and the Easter bunny.
Yeah. And we had Susan Lander. So I did have a couple of co-authors. I myself got published last year in a book called, I think, Awakening. And Susan Lander and Abigail and Dominique Oyston were also co-authors in that. And Susan Lander is amazing because, just like Jeff was saying about having people appear on his balcony, Susan Lander was, I think she was trying to follow the schedules of Benjamin Franklin, who is, an inventor and a politician and lots of other things. And he was very organized, and she was trying to be more productive. So she'd been focusing on Benjamin Franklin, who I learned about as an 11-year-old in America. And he just appeared in a kitchen, and she had a conversation. And the rest of the book is all about her tuning into different people who've been famous in different ways, including Patrick Swayze and some gorgeous film stars whose names escape me at the moment. And her books on conversations with history. So that was a good one as well. And Sarah Yip, our numerologist, our local psychic numerologist, who's pretty amazing, was on the show as well.
Yeah, I liked it. She's got attitude, eh? You're good. Damien Douglas, UFOs, the whole extraterrestrial search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and Close Encounters of the
Fifth Kind.
Yeah. No, he was really profound. I mean, he's taken up the mantle that other people have led in previous generations, so fair play to him.
Yep, and then we've had Julia Reese, Dr. Julia Reese and Helen Reese on the show. And it was really interesting to hear all the stories of mother and daughter both being very psychic. And, I think that was a shout out for the families that are dealing with kids that see things at night. So if you didn't catch that one up, you can go to videos and look up any of these people. We all have the playlists on Dreaming the New Dream, on Radio FM88, and on YouTube. If you have friends who do not watch things on Facebook, you can catch up on their past episodes on YouTube. If you have any difficulties finding them, just drop us, Jeff and me, a line. And but did you want to talk about the other ones?
Yeah, I like Dominique, opera singer. I thought she had great voice projection. She explained stage presence, delivering the message through not only the voice, but actually allowing the body to talk. It's quite a bit like Marseille, isn't it? Where you're using your body and to actually project what you're trying to emulate through words. But I felt I was quite taken by her and her approach to drama, but also life itself by bringing the voice out of it. So talking about the voice, and that led on to Andrina Forrest. We had her in the early days, but that was really interesting too, about voice, how powerful their voice is if you open it up and start toning, using the various keys in the octave, and you can find the missing keys actually relate to aspects of your body that can actually be healed just simply by intoning your own voice based on those different frequencies. So those two girls, Dominique and Andrina, they sort of they did it for me. Evie Freegan, she sort of showed that you could actually take down inspirational words. People quite often in the music world would say about the muses where they hear the song, and away it comes down. There's a guy called Ray Oliver down at Benley who could tell you a great story about that, how he heard the first note and then it kept on going and he couldn't get out of his head, and as he walked away from the house, it diminished, but as he got closer to the house, that same note was being played. So he went to his neighbours thinking it was their music, but no. So when he wrote the note down, he went to the next note and ended up, he wrote a fantastic album called Heaven on Earth, and that first song's called The Calling. So being able to be inspired, obviously Ray was inspired by the music tones. Evie's been picked up by the fact that she's been getting words, and she compiles words which are almost like poetry, lyrics, but it's a great form of inspirational writing. Fair play to her. Marie-Louise Brown.
Yep, she's a breast cancer survivor, not just a breast cancer survivor, but she's done all, basically done the hard yards and overcome it, and learnt a lot about her body and the soma, basically how things affect her, and she's been called to help other people going through that, which is a lot of people. So if you know anybody who's going through that, look her up, because she's done the journey and she's tried all the different things and she's done so successfully. So we've got Helen Reese saying she really enjoyed Eliza White. Thank you. So did we. She was quite a character, and I still remember the story she says about, she says, I first found out that other people don't see spirits like I do, because I was sitting next to somebody on the stairs, and my girlfriend from school, and I says, and what does your Indian look like?
Yeah.
She says, what Indian? Because her spirit guide is a Lakota medicine man, black elk. And as a kid, he'd always been around her, so she assumed he was just as real as the sort of blood and flesh humans.
Gail writing, that was an awesome experience with someone who's worked in conjunction with Arthur Finley Centre and Arthur Finley College, and in the area of metaphysics. It was she was an awe-inspiring teacher. Elena Danan.
Oh, Elena Danan is just, yeah. So Elena Danan had the experience of being abducted when she was 9 years old. And I have met people, as a hypnotherapist, you meet different people with that kind of experience or missing time. But generally, most of them are quite affected by that and traumatized. Elena is actually one of the few people that I've met who has managed to overcome that and also connect with and have an existing connection, live connection and working relationship with other galactics who rescued her in that case. And she, together with them, is working on trying to get people to make their independence declarations, is what I call it, because as a collective, we've obviously agreed to that kind of thing happening. And the more people basically say that that is not on, the less likely it's going to be part of the collective contract. So if you have experiences in that area or know people who have experiences in that area, look up the interview with Elena Danan.
Yeah, that was quite profound, isn't it? Hey, Mauricio Murillo, I mean, I've got to say, to be able to make shirts and all that stuff out of pineapple pulp, sugarcane pulp, wasn't it? That was fair play to him. He's having a go, and he's looking at ways where you can use, was it 7 million tons of produce gets wasted, and he was looking at ways where you can actually recycle that. And so, yeah, I enjoyed his conversation. You weren't here, but I had those ladies come in, Linda Thompson and Valerie Astorga. That was about NDIS and home caring. And I did that because my dad was in that, and mum had been receiving caring abilities like that. And I just knew that it was from my personal experience that was something that I could relate to and help those ladies get their message across, to have home help, for those people who've got someone who requires a carer, even if it's for an hour a day or something. Yeah, fair play to them.
Yeah, no, I think that's that's part what we're trying to do with Dreaming the New Dream is platform people who are in service to unity, community, or to spiritual awakening, or to their passion. We had Auntie Minnie Mace as well on for that same reason, because I think the more of us that share our dreaming and talk about it, give it voice, give it energy, and through the radio give it airtime, the more likely that it's going to take flower and happen and inspire people, and people can come together and work together and inspire each other, and we can join hand in hand to achieve the dreams and overcome the isolation and fragmentation that has been happening, well, according to mainstream media, that's been happening, of course, on the grassroots levels. That's not happening at all.
No. Hey, Alan Mead, I think that was right out of left field for a guy who's taken up a paintbrush, and people may not see that of any, I don't know, it's photography and artistry is it's always been in the domain of the artist has to die before their work is actually recognised in it. But Alan showed that there was someone here in contemporary Queensland in Australia who was prepared to get out and have a go. So fair play to him.
Yeah, and Ermond Machicha is also using his art to actually as portals to bring through higher dimensional frequencies and consciousness, as is actually, did we have Kai Phoenix, who's not just using her art to channel the codes, but also her voice to talk light language. So that was really interesting. And then Shauna Teakin was quite vivacious and interesting. She's all about teeth, happy teeth, about you can heal your teeth and your gums and empowering. And I think empowerment is the other thing, the other theme. When we started out, there was a lot of stuff on Facebook about 5G and how it's going to affect everybody and make everybody mad. So we intentionally brought in Gerard Beanie. I think he's your mate. Maybe you want to talk about Gerard and what he does?
Gerard, quite a very intuitive man. I mean, he can just use Google Maps and he can actually tune in for the geopathic stress that is around your area, around your house. And it was very interesting because it's almost like the Asians who bring in their feng shui priests for exactly the same reasons, to get the energy flowing through your house and through your business and bring prosperity. So yeah, Jared's definitely got that ability there to help people. And you probably see him at different shows around Australia. So no, fair play to him. Yeah. And of course, being to do with feng shui brings us into Daphne Fung, who came in from Toowoomba, who does feng shui, but we had her on esoterical acupuncture and reading the Akashic records. So there's a little something there to offer people in the Darling Downs,
And I think internationally we also had Atira Tan, who does work with child smuggling and girl smuggling intentionally, in terms of helping them. She was working with them. And actually next week we have a guest whose first job or first mission once she left high school was to work in orphanages in Europe before doing different things and ending up creating a publishing house which is meant to rival Hay House. So there'll be Adriana Alvarez will be on next week.
Sure. Yeah.
And I've always dreamed of working in orphanages. I just never got around to, even when I went to Vietnam last year, I'd said to my Vietnamese friend, I want to work in an orphanage. And she says, Julie, you're better off teaching the seminarians English. And I was going, okay. But it was good.
You got told. Hey, okay. So Vicky Prothero, take my hat off to her. She came in as a last minute because the previous lady had a family situation that popped up, and so Vicky stepped up to give us a heads up on reflexology, and for that, I'm eternally grateful. And she was a bundle of fun and full of essence and effort. Oh, she was effervescent, really. So a good trainer and a good teacher and a good healer for anyone who wishes to make use of reflexology. Vicky Prothero,
Yeah. All right. So it's about 8:00. It's kind of towards the end. I mean, we've obviously had many other guests that we haven't mentioned, but we're not going to sort of go and talk about each one. But we'd encourage you to, if you're new to our audience, just have a look through the back catalogue playlists and see what you get drawn to. If there are areas that you're really interested in, or if you'd like to come on the show, please do drop us a note at Dreaming the New Dream or Radio FM88, or just make friends with Jeffrey Shaw and myself, Juliachai, and we'd love to engage with you and hear from you.
We didn't play any of those other clips, mate.
We didn't. Would you like to do that now? I think it's a nice finish. So now the faces to the people that we've been talking about. And the art as well, if you can find it.
Yeah. Hang on a sec.
So at the end of last year, I compiled a little video showing all the people that had been on the show. Magic and dedication. Connections. Team at Dream.
Go on, I jumped ahead so quick. Just a moment. You've done a bit of work on this, love.
And thank you, of course, to our team, Katie Fan and Anna Liu, who helped do the logos and helped set our dinosaurs up. Showed us what to do to look semi-professional.
Yeah, very good.
There you go.
Yeah. Awesome, mate.
So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Zolma says no, Zolima says no sound, but I hope that didn't matter. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. And you have a great rest of the day or evening, wherever you are. And keep on pursuing your dreams. Let us know about your dreams if you want.
Okay. Thank you, Felicia.